Okay, my name is Robert. I apologize, as I know the um, assignment was supposed to be in a uh, presentation, in like a PowerPoint or something, more of a visual aspect. For the life of me, I don't know what's wrong. I've tried different programs. There's the one that was recommended, the Culturist Capture Space. I could not find that. I couldn't figure it out. I'm not entirely sure what I was doing wrong. So I was trying other things. And I guess my computer isn't strong enough to record. I don't know. I'm not very techy, and so I apologize as I wasn't able to find any way to record this on my screen with a PowerPoint. So rather than just not doing the assignment, I realize I'll probably dock points, but better this than nothing. The other thing that I will probably have to apologize for is realizing it says create a 10 to 15 minute presentation. I Going through all of the questions, don't imagine it would take that long. Move this so you can see my face better. Um, I don't think it would take that long. So if it doesn't reach that, I also want to apologize for it not reaching the time length wanted. However, I plan to hope, or I hope that I answer every question to your standard. So, starting off, the definition of the disability, I decided to focus mine on the deafness, just more or less deafness. Um, from IDEA, their um, definition was it's the inability to comprehend verbal language due to the inability to hear characterizes, or that's what characterizes deafness. They state a hearing impairment. Deafness is a hearing impairment that is so severe that the child is impaired in processing linguistic information through hearing, with or without amplification. Um, they also stated that that last little part right there, being with or without amplification, is a very important piece. As I'm going to take these off so you can actually see my face. Um, that's a very key term, as there's a deafness and then there's a deafness in the sense of like a fully you can't hear, and then if you were to have like a hearing aid, that would be able to get you to hear. So deafness is with the help or without the help of a hearing aid, the individual would not be able to hear anything. That is how they characterize deafness. So the characteristics are they're not able to hear intensity, pitch, or both, either of them, and then it can the hearing loss is above 90 decibels. That's the fine line of where deafness is considered. The identification methods is fairly simple. It's if someone can hear you or not. There's not really a better way to test it. It's if you try to talk to someone and they can't hear you, they're not alert to the auditory signals, then they're most likely deaf. The next question, question 4, is based on characteristics. Identify, determine 2 instructional strategies appropriate for this type of disability. The 2 that I thought of were, if you were to be in a class with someone who is deaf, you could have one of these 2 things. The first one would be having the individual, the one who is deaf, focusing on the instructor, whoever's giving the lesson, and they can try to read their lips. That way they can understand what's going on. It is a way that they can pay attention to the lesson as well as focus on and work on that skill of reading lips. But while they are doing this, they will have someone taking notes for them. That way, if they do miss things while trying to read the lips, they are not missing the entire lesson, as they will have someone next to them taking notes. That way, they will get the entire lesson at the end. The other one was having an ASL interpreter. That way, majority of people who are deaf will end up learning sign language. So this one works if they know sign language. If they don't know sign language, the first example would be a better option. However, if they do know sign language, then they can use this as a form to communicate in their language. They're able to, instead of trying to read lips and missing words or messing up, they can use this as their own language, their first language, to understand what is being taught. So the next question is explain why the selected strategies are appropriate. For the first one, I kind of already talked about this. They're able to practice their skills of learning to read lips with no risk of losing what was taught in the in the lesson. And then for the second one, I think it is more helpful as they can understand in their first language just kind of what's going on. However, again, it does not work if they don't know sign language, that it'd be as if I was talking Italian to them or something like that, just because they wouldn't understand it. So the last question I was a bit confused on. It was explain some resources you found for families, especially highlighting resources in languages other than English. I don't fully understand the question. I don't know if it's meaning how do people outside of the US typically deal with the situation or the things we could choose from IDEA. If that was the case, my answer was, when it comes to American Sign Language, ASL, that's not taught everywhere. It's the English's version of sign language. There's all sorts of different kind of sign language dependent on the language. So there's a French Sign Language, a Spanish Sign Language, German Sign Language, and so on and so on. So from my understanding and my research, it seems that majority of people tend to go about this the same way. They will try to teach with an interpreter for their languages, sign language. But from my understanding, the question of how things are different outside of English or America, it would be the different kinds of sign language that are taught in that country or in that whatever language they're speaking. So those are my answers to the 6 questions. I hope I got them all right. Again, I apologize for not having a more or less PowerPoint or visual. You just had to look at me during this. And then the other thing, I apologize. Looking at this, I've just hit 7 minutes, so I'm the 3 minutes short of the deadline, or the how long the video should be. So I'll take what I can get. So thank you for watching. Sorry again for not being able to do everything that was asked. So.